The Realtors Association of Hamilton-Burlington, well, they recently revealed their 2023 market stats. And tell us more about this, it is broker of record and owner Nicolas von Bredow. Nicolas, great to see you today. Welcome.
Thank you very much. A chilly morning, but great to be here.
But that's all right. We're here safe. We were just talking a little bit off camera. Let's talk about the 2023 stats. What did we see, and what can we expect to see maybe in Q1 of 2024?
So 2023 in our region here, the Hamilton-Burlington, the greater area here, saw price declines for the second year in a row. I mean, roughly of 10%, sorry, not price declines, sale declines of 10% coming down. So the amount of activity was less than we've seen in the past. And it's roughly 20% lower than the long-term trends from a sales activity perspective. But from a pricing perspective, prices were fairly flat. I mean, obviously certain pockets and certain neighborhoods and certain communities did see some price fluctuations coming down a bit. But in general, it was a pretty flat market. But it was more in regards to the sales activity declining because a lot of the buyers were out of the market with the interest rates being higher. And a lot of the sellers also were sort of holding off just to understand what's happening in the future.
Well, you talk about interest rates and my wife is a branch manager, so she talks to me a lot about stress tests and all that. Where are we sitting with the lending rates, and how can we kind of gauge what will be happening over the next 12 months?
Well, I mean, as we've seen over the past 2 years with the interest rates going up, it's also taken a lot of purchasing power away from the buyer. So a lot of the buyers are sitting on the sidelines. And with, I mean, the economic activity in our country and some of the statistics that have been coming out with the CPI, I think there's an indication that there'll be some sort of a stop, or there has been a stop to the interest rate increases, and there will be at some point in 2024 a start of a decrease of interest rates. So I think the moment the government and the Bank of Canada gives the public a general idea that they are done with the interest rate increases and there's going to start with the decreases, there'll be some buyers that come out of the woodwork, coming out of the sidelines, because for them then purchasing a home is one of the largest transactions they'll ever do in their history. It's usually most people's biggest investment. So they want to have some security and some understanding of what's happening before they make those big decisions. So knowing that the interest rates might be coming down shortly or very soon in the future, they'll be able to have better information to make those decisions in regards to what they want to purchase and where they want to move to.
Advice that you give to those individuals who are looking to get into the market for the very first time?
Very first time, well, there's lots of opportunities, right? There's lots of different programs from the government. There's the first-time home buyers incentive program. There's the first-time home buyer savings accounts. There's a bunch of different programs from the government. So I'd say number one, I said go talk to your financial institution or financial planner, get some of those programs, or get some information on those programs. Talk to your mortgage broker or even a realtor in the local area, and get some information about those, because those will help you get into the market. At the same time, too, start looking before a bit of a flurry of buyers come back into the market. I say looking now might be even an opportunity because you don't have a large cohort of buyers looking right now yet. But in the short term, you can also go for a variable rate mortgage because it seems like we're at the peak. And then when interest rates come down, lock it in then once it's lower. So I think there's an opportunity for first-time buyers and for buyers in general to maybe get ahead of the sort of flurry of activity that might come once interest rates start coming down.
And of course, you know, when it's in real estate, one of the phrases is location, location, location.
Absolutely.
I know so many people want to live here in Hamilton, but there's Burlington, there's Haldeman, which has had a bit of a decrease. Talk to us about some of those markets.
Yeah, so we have some great secondary markets around. I mean, Burlington's a great community. I mean, ranked as one of the top communities in Canada for a long time. So there's always strong interest in Burlington. So that's the reason why Burlington's prices actually went up a little bit last year. But then we have places like Haldeman and Grimsby and some of the other surrounding communities in Glanbrook, such as Binbrook, where I mean, these are some of the bedroom communities to Hamilton. So you have more affordability in some of those communities, and more of a different quality of life in those communities too. So there is always some demand for those communities, but again, it's I think a lot of it is driven by just where the prices are, right? The more in the core you are, the more in the high demand areas, you're gonna have higher prices. So it does drive some people out into sort of the rural communities and the bedroom communities to be able to find something that's a little bit more affordable for what they want.
And of course, during the pandemic, we saw a lot of people coming from Mississauga, Oakville, Toronto into the Hamilton area, and now they're realizing, oh, we all got to go back to work. So that's also something maybe to keep in mind as well when you're looking at purchasing. What can you do that's comfortable for you for quality of life.
Exactly, that life-work balance, that quality of life, right? I mean, a lot of people moved out to our communities because they were allowed to have that remote access, remote work lifestyle, and now they're realizing driving back that they're losing some time with their family and things by sitting in the car during the commuting hours. And so there is a bit of a shift again, and I mean, we've heard some people coming from sort of the suburbs more into the cities, but vice versa, because some corporations and companies are also offering that hybrid solution. So I think there's going to be more of a balanced market when interest rates come down, and because there won't be that drive of everyone wanting out of the big city. I think it's going to be a mix of a little bit of everything. Some people moving closer to the city because they're required to come back to work, and some people saying, hey, my company's remote work possibilities are still allowed, so we're going to maybe try a different style of quality of life. And also, there's a lot of other changes that happen in people's lives, right? Another expectant child or things like that where they need a larger home. So again, I think the biggest factor is the moment there's there's an indication of interest rates coming down, that I think there'll be a lot more people being able to have a confidence in making the decisions they want to make.
With the average price of homes being around $1 million, for argument's sake, there is that sticker shock, I think, for a lot of people too. How do you kind of talk people down off of that ledge, if you will, and kind of explain to them, you know, it's over 10, 15, 20, 30 years that you'll be looking after this?
Well, exactly, right? I mean, mortgages typically on average are 5-year mortgages, right? But your amortizations are anywhere between 20 and 30 years typically, and sometimes even longer, right? So really that's the way they have to look at it. Hey, this is some debt you're taking on with regard to your mortgage, but really your ultimate goal is to pay it off over the period of the amortization. And also if you decide to move in 5 or 6 years, again, that gets reset, but you've also paid off some equity on your place you're selling that you can put towards the place you're moving to if you're willing, if you're looking to upgrade or to move somewhere else. So again, it's one of those things where, yeah, there's sticker shock to that sort of $1 million average price that's sort of in the sort of GTA area. At the same time, though, I mean, we're also living in an area too that has some of the highest wages in the country here in the Toronto and Greater Hamilton area too. So it is a bit of a balance there. But I mean, overall, if we see some interest rate decreases, I think there'll be a lot of people that just have a little bit more of an easier decision process and a little bit more steady mindset.
With so much high inventory out there right now, I know we talked about go to your financial institution, talk about various ways that you can maybe get help a little bit. Also, the government can maybe play a role into this. What are some of your thoughts on how the government might be able to help offset some of this high inventory?
Well, I think the high inventory is not a huge issue right now. I think there's sellers coming back into the marketplace, putting houses into the market, and that's why the inventory numbers are going up, but buyers are still sitting on the sidelines because of interest rates. I think where the government can help is to continue working towards some of the incentives they have, such as the first-time home buyers plan, the savings, tax-free interest savings account. People have RSPs that they're allowed to pull out for down payments and things like that. So I think some of these incentives, and realtors across the nation, provincially, nationally, and locally, we advocate on a regular basis with our MPPs and MPs to talk to them about some of these programs to make sure that our communities and residents in our communities have some opportunity there to get into the marketplace. So I think it's really more the Bank of Canada with regards to the interest rates, but again, the federal government can help with some of the incentives and savings programs to help then people have that money to be able to put that down payment down.
Nicholas, I appreciate all the information that you've passed along. A lot of education for me, and I think it's great information for those that are starting in the middle. And you know, don't be too afraid. Call an expert like yourself to walk you through the biggest investment of your life.
Exactly. It's the biggest investment of most people's lives. We can call a local realtor, speak to them, and as you mentioned, inventory levels are going up at the moment, so there is a possible opportunity for some buyers right now to get in before that interest rate decrease happens and a flurry of more buyers come.
Nicholas, my man, thank you so much. Continued success. Stay warm out there, okay?
Thank you so much for having me.